6 months since I actually streamed in here, and the fact that I actually couldn't do anything else besides waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and fucking. Oh, bro, this this is this is actually going to be a little bit hard. Let's just say. However, it is really necessary to actually even talk about it because it something like this should not be ignored at all, especially since she has to deal with a lot of things. But before I actually go in there, I just wanted to say this. I do not condone any type of harassment uh, towards somebody else. Some people like Shy Lily, Bao, Numi, and many others include, and yes, even uh, Nano and Red as well. But the fact that she took her time to actually gathering all the evidence that she could possibly get and actually make 1,200 pages filled with everything that needs to be explained in the public because of the false accusation that happened to her. Well, to be fair, there are some things where she's not 100% innocent. Let's just be keep in mind that, all right? However, seeing this after what happened back in April is actually fucking. I don't know. I don't know how should I say this. It's just really. Oh man, this is rough. This is actually really rough in many ways. But the only one, the only thing I will say is that yes, she did make some mistakes. She needs to reflect herself for what she did. But well, I actually don't have really anything else to say about this. Oh man. So yeah, like I said, I do not condone any harassment, doxing, death threats, or anything else that happened, not just to the one who being accused of, but also the one who are accused. So, so the accuser and the one being accused. Got it? Yeah, good. Oh, bro. Oh man, this honestly. I really need to calm down. Oh, oh man. Ah, brother. All right. So, let's further ado. Let's let's just hope I can we can well I can actually try to understand everything here, even though it's going to take a while. That's for sure. But I, you know what's actually the funniest thing about this? That I already knew about that something was off ever since at the beginning, and this is I'm not. It's, it's something that actually felt off, because there were some things among the other dogs that I've read that the devil literally were put in the Tito, and this is actually really rough to accept that, you know. But anyway, um, let's just start. Hopefully, I can actually understand what's going on here. Hey everyone, it's been over 5 months since everything happened. I've never been good with words, and I'm especially bad at verbalizing my feelings. I've always hid my insecurities, and it's hard for me to open up about things, even to the people closest to me. It was nearly 2 a.m. for me on April 26th when Nanolis and Bao posted their documents together. After I had finished streaming earlier in the night, I was awake for almost 48 hours by the time I posted my apology. Looking back at it, no, it wasn't good. I was not in a sound state of mind when it was written. I was blindsided by any of this coming out and the accusation made against me. No one involved tried to contact me privately beforehand. I was unable to eat, sleep, or do anything else but watch more documents and statements be released while everything fell apart. I didn't have Fred, I didn't have my friends, but I had the weight of the entire internet waiting to see what I was going to say and how I was going to say it wrong. I didn't have access to search for all the evidence to defend myself with a growing list of allegations, and I didn't have time to put all together cohesively anyways. I was petrified. How could I possibly respond correctly to a coordinated effort like this in the state I was in without just blatantly accepting fault for all the things I didn't do or never knew happened? That's actually really rough, especially with a lot of anxiety that's actually happened to her, and I cannot really blame her for that. Where was I? I rushed to get something out, defend myself the best I could in the heat of the moment, and posted just so I could rest. No matter what I would end up saying, it would never have been good enough. It took me a long time to mentally recover and have the ability to face any of this again. I couldn't look anything Cinder related without breaking down. All of my fans that looked me up to me were led to believe I was evil and encouraged to destroy or donate my merch. Almost everyone I knew or cared about turned on me in an instant, and anyone who has ever had anything to say about me did. I had only one of my close friends message me after everything was out there. I received rape, dogs, death threats over these accusations, so I stepped away from the internet. I reconnected with Red and we worked things out between ourselves. When we were both ready to, he helped me with the long process of making this document. I didn't say almost anything else to anyone sooner, privately or publicly, because no one would believe me until I had absolutely everything put together to post all at once in one place. That's honestly a good move from her, especially despite all the things that happened is because of Red's fault. But no matter the fact, they need to work together somehow to actually get it clean together, you know. Purpose of this document. First, to present the full story and the facts and evidence around what happened with complete transparency, defend myself against what's been said about me, and provide mine and Red's perspectives and motivations about each situation. It was a hard choice to make this public, but since it is my side of the story, it matters too. Well, once it's out in the public, a lot of the things is going to be on fire. To take accountability for everything that each of us are guilty of the past couple of years, whether they were revealed in the original document or not. This document will not be absolve either of us of all wrongdoing, and it isn't trying to. Third, dispel rumors, misconceptions, and theories about me, show why things actually occurred, and point out and refute discrepancies and lies in the claims or statement made against me. We've done things wrong, but the amount of degree of them has been incredibly exaggerated or completely made up. Not all of them, unfortunately. Whenever I actually think about the previous docs that were written about However, let's see what she has to say. Fourth, this document contains speculation. Baseless accusations were made against me without evidence. I have kept the speculation labeled as such in this document. Most of it is supported by circumstantial evidence, but it should not be treated as solid fact. That's fair. Fifth, this document is not to fuel harassment or spread hate towards anyone involved. Like I said before, no one should be blamed for anything or everyone. I am doing what's listed above and posting this document in the same public setting the original documents were. If I have harassed anyone involved in my defense, you are not my supporter. Well, to be fair, I actually have to admit something. I joined a Discord server where there were some desperate quote unquote supporters. However, they already trying to make a plan to fight in herd of defense, and that actually was my mistake to even join there. And well, I actually got banned on the Sinders Discord server for that, even though it was never my intention to actually harass anyone, because this is actually it won't bring me any satisfaction, unfortunately. This is something that needs to be keep in mind on that, because otherwise it will only cause you trouble and lots of consequences, especially for someone like me who has done horrible things in the past. But let's continue. Your actions are reprehensible, and I never advocated for anyone to do this for any reason. I'm sorry to anyone who has been affected by any actions of rogue community members against my principles. Now this is actually I have been made out to be a two-faced, greedy, jealous, psychopathic, narcissistic who maliciously used, stalked, sabotaged, and betrayed those closest to me and anyone around me for my own gain for years, manipulating my way to the top like some kind of evil mastermind. Yeesh. You were lied to. That's true. Most of the time. There are things I've done wrong, but this image of me could not be further from reality. This was a complete public assassination of my character over what were lies and assumptions, followed by my cancellation and disappearance, with my accusers profiting from it. And we already know what happened throughout these times. If I was really the awful person I was made out to be, then this document wouldn't exist. That's fair. I wouldn't have any way to refute the claims made against me. I could have just continued streaming and profited from the trauma and over the 30 million views the situation garnered. Good thing she didn't do that. I could have let everyone forget about this and come back like nothing ever happened. That's not always a good thing. But it's not true, and I couldn't allow myself to move on without making things right. Well, some things like that is always really hard to make it right. I'm talking this from my own experience. Everything that comes out and stories that followed have been blown away out of proportion and turned into crazy and conspiracies. Both Red and I have done wrong, and all that will be addressed here. But the story everyone was told was not the reality of what happened. Every single person I have interacted with in the past almost 5 years, even those closest to me, and every single interaction with them would have been fake for the story told about me to be true. I believe that there were two people responsible for things played out, with a third person merely have an axe to grind against, someone that they never liked. Nonetheless, lied overwhelmingly about what happened between her, Red, sat back and played everyone, including my friends. Shyly lied about me from the start, orchestrated things behind the scenes, and manipulated the public to their side. Super AO took the opportunity to lie about our interactions together, making things even worse for me. That's strange. That's actually really the first time I actually heard about this. They had the most to gain from my cancellation, including their own satisfaction. None of them could take accountability for their own actions and pushed it all onto me instead. The only two people that could disprove their lies were just made into lying manipulators and wiped off the internet. Oh man. Aside from the labeled speculation, everything presented in this document is true to the best of mine and Red's knowledge. I have nothing to hide, and there is no reason to hide anything anymore. The book of what's shown here was over the past 2+ years. Keep in mind that no matter who you are, opinions, thoughts, and feelings can change a lot over such a long period of time, for better or worse. Well, to be fair, I actually didn't want to do that because it wasn't none of my business. No pun intended, of course. But it's just too hard to look away, honestly, because this is especially what they've done towards her back in April. Not it's not good. It never was, because all choices that you make, no matter if it's bad or good, will always come with consequences. And this is something that they need to rely on that, because otherwise you will always live with a lie, and nobody wants to, including me. It's just not. That's not. That's actually really rough, honestly. Aside from the label speculation, everything presented in this document is true to the best of minor edge and large. Wait. I've already read that. I went back and forth on a lot of things to put in here, asking myself, should I leave them out for the people I still care for, or keep them for my own sake? Well, those types of decisions are not really easy to make, and the fact she actually go through this is honestly kind of brave, not gonna lie. No matter what evidence is included in this document, it wouldn't be surprising if it's claimed that even with all of the evidence, all of this is just me trying to lie, manipulate, and gaslight my way out of what happened, and then no one should possibly believe me again. To show what I stand by, everything written here, and that I'm sorry for the things I've done wrong, I made a very hard decision. I'm giving up my part ownership position of Game of Subs. Oof. That's rough, but that's actually her decision, so some things like that needs to be respected, unfortunately. I've worked so hard for them since December of 2022, and earning this position was one of the biggest accomplishments of my life. I'm honored they chose to give me the opportunity. I've been immensely proud to have the title. As I said, as I'm doing this, I feel the need to protect the company I love, the people that work there, and everyone associated of my own interest. Gamma Subs suffered a lot of damage when a lot of accusations were made about me, and that fell on my shoulders. This is my responsibility as part owner, and I don't want any more harm or negativity to come up to them by having this position. I didn't have to do this, and I wasn't asked, forced, or coerced into making this decision. There are things more important to me than business. I notified them of my decision in June, and it will take effect at the same time this document is published. So it's been like 4 months. Goddamn. Each step in this document is about the people and events related to claims made against me, where I've provided links to each person's respective statements for reference, the evidence, context in mind, and Red's thoughts around each situation. You're intended to read each section in order they presented. This document should be viewed in test mode and light mode. For the formatting to appear correctly. Some information and screenshots appear in a multiple section for whoever is relevant to. The first section being Nanoless, Bow, V-Card, and Numi's concert, and Shy Lily culminate in a section breaking down what what you've seen throughout them. With the last few sections of this document being standalone, unless stated otherwise. Every link in this document is working at the time this is posted. This document will not be edited after it's posted either because we live in 2025. I need to say that this document was written without the use of AI. This kind of thing, but it's actually really stupid, but what else? What else can she do? I understand some of the things in this document may be damaging to the people involved. I understood that their claims would be damaging to me before they publicly made them too. Everyone can review the evidence for themselves and decide what really happened. And if I really am the person you were led to believe me to be. The burden of proof is on the accuser, not the accused. I notice in say 1, redacted. Oh boy. Oh man. Red helped me put this entire document together. We want to be upfront and honest that this was 2-person effort. His own commentary is represented throughout it and was labeled as his and highlighted in blue. Hell and Red. I am Sinders' longtime partner and I have worked alongside her since she started this career. I helped her put this document together to set the record straight. Over the past few months, I have to come to terms with being the reason why Sinders' image, her relationships, and her career were all ruined. I heard people who were our friends. I fucked up, and she had to answer to the world for it by herself. My actions ruined everything of her, and I'm taking responsibility and helping her pick up the pieces. I didn't want to put something out sooner without her that could have made things worse. I ask that you don't hold what I did against her. This is not good. Oh man. Red and I are still together. We had a falling out and spent time apart after the documents dropped on April 26th. But he was still here for me when I was ready to talk to him again. We were able to work things out between us and forgive each other for what happened. I cannot actually agree nor disagree about this because he's the reason also why she actually was ruined, and it's always like mixed feelings, let's just say. I wasn't planning to say anything about this again publicly, but I felt I needed to. Well, good for her, I guess. Years ago, I cheated on Red online for my own selfish reasons, and the things I said about him were out of my own frustration and past experience. I make things sound much worse than they were at the time and mischaracterized the person he is. Red already knew that this happened way before it was made public in April. And no one else was ever told about it before then either. We addressed both of our problems in our relationship and moved past it a long time ago. It had nothing to do with my career or current events, and it's irrelevant to talk about further. We disagree, we get mad at each other, we argue, but our relationship isn't toxic or abusive in any way. Why does this reminds me of my parents' relationship, man? Why? Oh. All the bad things, my past and everything just basically come back right now, and I hate this. I would appreciate if the speculation around it would stop. Ren and I have always had some levels of communication problems, even with each other. Neither of us are good communicators beyond surface level. It's hard to open up and we get in our own heads about things. We butt heads and disagree with each other sometimes, and we even more so working our own all day, every day. It's gotten much better over the years, but it's never been perfect. Nothing is perfect after all. So the idea that anyone in any relationship would know about and agree with everything their partner feels, says, and does is crazy to me. That's that's actually true. Despite I never was in a relationship before. I'm not the only who's ever had a significant other keep secrets from them, and neither is Red. Every relationship is different and has its own nuisance, dynamics, and problems, functioning in a way that only the two people involved know of and fully understand. No one looking in and can say otherwise. Because I cheated on Red, should I assume that everyone's significant other had cheated on them in the past? Should I assume that all of my friends' relationships are the same as mine? No, and for me to claim I know exactly how things work between any of them just because I'm their friend that sees them a few times a year is ridiculous. Oh man, why should I? Why am not surprised? Hold on, just I need some juice. I talk a lot, unfortunately. Bro. Cracking a cold one. Alright. When I became a Cinder, we wanted to keep our relationship private and public. Red was simply my manager, and we hid our relationship from my friends for over a year during multiple trips. We agreed that I'll tell my closest friends about our relationship in March of 2024. Yikes! She should have actually told her about this sooner to actually let them know. But 2024, I mean, sure, it's well, never late, never, never be late for something, right? Because we felt we were close enough and trusted them enough to tell them. When we traveled, my friends was always close by each other and showing each other our work, the M's, on our phones. Almost all of the time, from chats we were both in, instead of talking things out loud to keep up with our projects while away, and to keep them private between us. It is easier to look at this to keep each other on the same page rather than have a verbal conversation while we're around other people at almost all times while away. What this at conventions or on vacation was all they saw. Only Red and I would have any idea how we worked together and acted around each other when at home. I lived with Red and his family from the summer of 2022 to the end of February 2025. I never outright told anyone this, including my closest friend. Why? Why though? Why didn't she told this about her to her friends as well? I don't get it. I mean, yes, to be fair, they're in a close relationship, which it's mm, mm, got the mixed feeling again. We wanted to keep at least a part of our personal lives private from everyone, even telling some people we lived apart. On stream, I've always said I've lived with my family, friends, and streamed in a basement. The basement part is true. It's where I spend the majority of my time, and it's where I worked and streamed from. My career started there in 2021 with my ASMR. Red was the one with the PC, mic, and experience with content creation since it's always been his hobby. I would go there more and more often until I moved in when I became a full-time streamer. For most of my earliest streams with PNG model, Red would be in the room with me, modding it on a laptop and making sure things would run smoothly. He was there as my tech support since at the time I could barely play games, let alone understand how to use it and fix OBS if something went wrong. We built my own PC and I stopped needing him by my side by the time I debuted my first model in June 2022. He moved his PC into his own room and has worked from there since. Starting sometimes late last year, my streams kept disconnecting and we couldn't figure out why. This was going for months, and no matter what we did, it kept happening. We thought there could be something wrong with the internet that we couldn't fix it. So as a last resort, my parent and I made space for me to move back in with them with my entire stream about in February. We were able to fix the problem, but it ended having nothing to do with the internet at all. I've been working and living here since, separated from Red. The reason why I'm revealing all of this is now because we could have easily gone through each other's DMs or whatever we wanted in those 3 years, but we didn't. It's not like we never showed each other our messages directly. We did all the time, but we didn't come through each other's DMs at the end of every day to read anything we may have said, and I don't know anyone who said that's normal to do. That's a mouthful, but need to live with that. We would just tell each other things that happened, and that was that. I never felt the need to look over his shoulder to check on anything and everything he was saying and to who. We trusted each other, and he's always had my best interests in mind. That's kind of sweet, honestly. Working together. I'm choosing to have Red continuing working with me. He will be doing most of what he did for me before, but he will not be doing any work-related communications for me in any channels. I'm not also a part of. I now have access to his Discord account to check on things myself if I need to. It's clear to me that he learned his own lessons from what happened. Good for him. He made mistakes and I forgave him. Should actually talk things out a little bit further than that, honestly. I wouldn't be here I am without him, and he's just as much a part of Sinders as I am. He wasn't just a manager that handled some messages, and he had the part in a lot of the things I did. He's always been the main creative mind behind my debuts and other releases too. Even with how involved he was, Red is still his own person with his own ideas, his own opinions, his own feelings towards people, his own goals, and his own ambitions, working under the same brand as me. That's how a VTuber session needs to do, right? Although I am a PNG tuber and doesn't have a manager. Fuck. He's always been the business. Wait. He's always been the business sensible one out of us, and the work side of things was always his focus. We've worked together on almost everything, but we didn't agree on everything. That's neat. That's how it should do. Pardon me. There have been many business or creative decisions we argued back and forth about, sometimes taking days to reach a compromise. Red didn't always consult me before making his own choices in his messages with our partners. A lot of time I agreed with what he did or said, and it was fine. But sometimes I didn't, and we either compromised or I had him walk back what he said. Red didn't tell me about every single interaction he had with people we worked with, and I didn't expect him to. I trusted him. Oh, baby, that's just not really good. But since they actually been together for like what, over 5 years, I cannot blame her if she actually have complete trust in him. And to be fair, I cannot blame Red for that. There was never a reason for him not to tell me something important. That was until we disagreed about one of my friend's bow. Oh shit, what does he have to do? At the start of this year, we moved a lot of our work-related conversation with various artists into a project server so everything could be organized into one place. I could be included in discussion and decision making where I needed to be, and I would be able to see everything being said without having to rely on Red to relay every detail of the things he was handling. This was for organization, conveniences, and so I could interact with every person working with me directly. However, this didn't mean Red didn't still use his DMs to do business or talk to people we were working with. Besides the allegations in Nano's document, no one else we've worked with has ever complained about Red. And we've both worked with dozens of people who I believe I would say their experience working with us was nothing but positive. And that was the Nano's first mistake. That she could track all of this to Cinder. But if people have actually some common senses, they actually need to rely on the outside of the box and not just what's inside. And this is where I actually also said that something felt off, like sincerely. Something felt really off about what Nano put on her document back in April, and this is why I actually completely lost respect for her. I think she also going to mention Shy Lily, but for that she has a complete channel for that, right? Yeah. Anyway, like I said in my apology, there were things Red didn't tell me about or hid from me and did without me knowing in his DMs. They're all shown in his document in the order below. I didn't know about these things beyond what I said I told what was I told if I was a doll. Red's inclusion of Fallon and Cotton in his exclusivity deal with Nano in January 2025. This is something that Red should actually said towards Cinder, which he didn't. Too bad for him. Red telling others number one, Bao was someone he considered competition while discussing exclusivity on the same day as his deal with Nano. That's. I mean, having competition as long as is it friendly, fine. But doing something like this towards with the exclusivity deal, it's just fucking insane. And honestly, I cannot blame her that she actually throw this type of things under Red's bus. So I just can't. This is why her apology document. Hold on, let me just take this out real quick. Where are ya? Oh man. Oh man, where are ya? Where are ya? Where are ya? Oh boy, oh man, oh shit, oh fuck, ah shit, oh fuck. Where's the apology? Wait, I actually have the powder document here somewhere, right? Where is it? Powder. Sinders apology. There we are. So, where did she put this in? Oh man, this is rough. This is honestly really rough. Red's conversation with Nano about Chai Lily in April 2025. This is where he said that something is off towards Chai Lily, which is this should be a bad sign, but neither of them actually knows. So Red's conversation with Mod number one about Silver Veil, goddamn, throughout 2024 and into 2025. Well, it's just because of the shit. I actually don't know what was it. Red asking number two about not working with Silver Ale in March 2025. Ooh, this is where he told he needs the artist needs to actually canceling her model. I think. We had conversations with Narcissus number one about Silver Veil in April 2025, which authors number one told me about days later. The names of artist number one, artist number two are hidden to protect their privacy since they weren't directly involved in everything that happened in April. They will be reintroduced later in this document. Oh well. Falling out, the night the first document were posted, Red was here with me. I ended my stream and he came over to see me while we worked on a few things together. We were still awake when Nano and Bao posted their documents at almost 2 a.m. EST. I didn't understand what was going on and started panicking. Red tried to explain what happened and I blew up at him and kicked him out, regrettably refusing his help. Yikes. Cannot blame her, although we weren't in contact for almost a month after. I had one close friend reach out to me after things were public and I responded to them sometime after Red was gone. I chose not to include their own messages here. Red called myself Red, so now I'm speaking right now, so I was set with everything. Was struck and posted that Red was fired later that morning. This is where she said that Red is no longer managing or overseeing her VTuber's activities. Oh bro, oh buddy, Bobby B. I wasn't trying to throw him under the bus and avoid accountability. I was blindsided by my friends publicly pointing the fingers at me for his words and actions I didn't even know about, and I didn't agree with. I didn't know what else to do. This is kind of understandable from her side. Because Red will continue with working, I will be deleting this tweet sometimes after posting this document. Did she though? That's the thing. Hold on, I'm trying to. Seemed it. No, she didn't. Well then, this is going to get tough. Oh, and Bao already actually posted something. I'm wondering what it is. Hold on, let me just take a little closer look about this. Oh, well, we'll see about that. So yeah, Red fucked up. He admits he learned his lesson. I only hope he actually never do this something like this ever again. I swear to God. My apology and taking accountability. This is where she had her anxiety and she has to write her apology. Which, to be fair, I cannot blame her. Now that I've reviewed everything that happened and had time to reflect on my own actions, there are some details I need to point out and corrections I need to make for my apology. Alright? Now I go over the things Red or I or both of us did wrong so we can take a responsibility. Each section after this will explain the full story around the major individual involved, anything Red and I did, and defending ourselves against everything we didn't do. Quotes from my apology will be present throughout this document to show what they were in reference to. These words are directly or taken from another document or highlighted with an orange. Yellow, also highlighted gray. Red's uncomment. Her apology. Already knew what was going on, so I'm not going to read it again. The things I claimed and admitted and I admitted to in my apology were based on what I knew at the time, and what was published in everyone else's documents. What Red told baby, and what Red told me right after. I shut him out and when I shouldn't have. I made my apology without his help, without all of the info in front of me. Oh man, people don't really have any common sense nor try to understand what's going on. But to be fair, I cannot blame her because some people are actually really fucking dumb without reflecting on themselves. Was under extreme stress and pressure to say something as soon as I could, and was expected to accept fault for everything I was accused of. Oh man, that's. But this is why she actually have to be left out for like 5 months. I was accused of, but not guilty of doing. Some of the things I wrote were overly apologetic, and I made things sound worse than they actually were because of the severity of the situation. The main takeaway people had from my apology was that I pushed everything onto Red and didn't take accountability for anything myself. That's not great. What I blamed Red for in my apology because he was guilty of doing them, him telling me how great it would be to work together with Silvervale, him holding a grudge against Bao. What I blamed for in my apology when I was also guilty, Red was the one with the business-oriented outlook on things from the start. I adopted the same mindset myself from working together as time went on. Yikes. It's not just business. This is really dumb, honestly. I wrongly made it sound like I was brainwashed into thinking this way in my apology. Oh man. What Red was guilty of in my apology that I didn't know about until writing it. Red and Nana ever talking about a model for Geary in November 2023. So Nana was working on Geary's model too. Red including Bowen and caught in his conversation an eventual deal with Nano around exclusivity. Oh man, I hate the English word sometimes. In January 2025, and bad-mouthing Bao in their DMs as if they were our shared feelings. Red talking to Nana about Shailili and her model in April 2025. The one that she debuted a few days after she released her apology, which is this one. Things I said about Red in my apology that I was wrong about. He did not manipulate Nano. No, she didn't. He didn't. But neither does she. I mean, Cinder, of course. He did not push Nano to work with Silvervale, and she was not a constant topic between them. Oh man, things I took accountability for in my apology. Agreeing with Red to talk with Nana about the exclusivity, agreeing to specifically name Silvervale in terms, and knowing a deal involving her was made. Guilt-tripping Nano. Oh boy. Feeling overly attached to Nano and her work. Not knowing about what Red had said about Bao to Nano when I should have. Not speaking to Bao about Red's feelings towards her and letting it spiral to the point it did. Having friends is always hard, especially when you need to make a choice. Doesn't matter if it's easy or hard, to be fair. Being upset and talking it personally when Bao hired my video editor. Being upset when Sakura Moore told us he wouldn't working with us again. Hold on. Who was Sakura Moore? Hold on. I want to know who this is. I think on Twitter is actually the best way to say about finding this out. Sakura Moore. Oh, that's Zach, the Bao's MV editor. I see. Okay. Where did I stop? Here. Confiding in Red about Tyler's behavior towards me, becoming resentful towards Silvervale, letting my insecurities and public comments influence my feelings towards Silvervale. Assuming Spite copied me, being very possessive of my design details early on my career. Oh boy. Overreacted in Nyan Tails Hellhound OC design, which was apologized for in the past. Cheating on my boyfriend, neglecting or leaving behind friends of mine. To be fair, sometimes it is actually needs to be left alone from time to time to actually reflect on themselves before to actually make a absolute statement towards their friends. I admitted to the world that I cheated on my secret boyfriend, and the story push was that I took no accountability and used him as a scapegoat. That's what everyone believed, myself included, before I actually take a closer look about this. Even with all these concessions of what I do, I was still somehow a narcissistic who couldn't accept fault. What I did was not admit to the right things to people making these claims already decided I was guilty of. They also expected me to apologize for everything I have done without any of it ever being mentioned, even if the matter was already settled in the past. I understand that the things that my manager did that I didn't know are ultimately my responsibility, and my ignorance doesn't change that. I should have taken more care to check up on what he's saying and doing. But I was being blamed publicly for things I had nothing to do with it. My accusers went out of their way to claim Cinder did this and Cinder did that. Said that. This is why a lot of people are created hatred towards her. I mean Cinder, of course. And I think this is always a disaster, especially whenever something, a fucking document is actually being released in the public. I know this because I am in the community from Friday Night Funkin'. I swear to God, especially in 2021, that all the bullshit I have to witness. Oh dear God. Oh man. And the fact that I actually had to take this all in because I was not involved in this, and all the things that I saw about what they're accused of, what they're man, I couldn't do nothing else but to watch, and I hate this. This is the reason as to why I'm actually trying to take some interest in, despite not trying to be involved into this, because of course, like I said before, that's none of my business. Where was I? Completed this recording Red's agency from any of his own words and actions. The proof I must have known about everything he's ever said and done was because they said that we worked on things together on our phones during the few times a year we were traveling. And Nano's document showed 2 of my screenshots for over a year apart from separate situation where I knew more or less what had happened between her and Red. There was no other evidence presented for their claim. But they told everyone it absolutely had to be this way. Oh man. Cherry picked. everyone who actually take a closer look, they always say Nana's screenshots are cherry picked. Especially when she also broke her own TOS too. I mean, terms of service. Where was I? Emphasis was placed on Red's usage of we and our as if they could know for a fact that it meant Red was always speaking with my knowledge, approval and oversight every single time he said it. This was necessary for their narrative to work against me. This is what I said on my apology about this. I do not condone anything about about what Red said about bowing these DMs either, and him using we and our in this context is abhorrently incorrect, and I believe was done to gain greater credibility behind what he was saying. Red, I have always been more or less the creative lead on things we did, like model designs, project ideas, and art in general, and Cinder often agreed with my creative judgment. She trusted me to do the communication I did for her without oversight. For example, a lot of times I would be one talking to the artist we were working with who only knew me as Cinder managers. Fair enough. If I knew the direction I wanted to take something with or without talking to Cinder beforehand, and I said I want this art to be like this instead of Cinder wants this art to be like this, then I felt like an awkward thing for me to say. In my mind, to the person we were working with, I'm just the manager, not the creator, not the streamer, not their client. What I myself wanted wasn't important. What Cinder wanted was lovely, very lovely from my side. So in order to give way to what I would say, I started using we early on, without speaking for her directly, saying Cinder. If we wanted to do something a certain way, then it'd be given me agency by implying that we both agreed on and made the decision, as Cinder was aware of the decision being made, regardless of if she actually was or wasn't at the time, and that my words had meaning. I was speaking on we, the brand's behalf. It became a habit of mine to talk this way, regarding any projects or business dealings. I didn't start doing this because anyone told me I should be. This is not very good. I mean, sure, it's a force of habits, but you shouldn't actually cap it on yourself, if you know what I mean. I didn't speak like this all the time or on every single message. It's not like Cinder never knew about what I was saying when saying we. If afterwards she did disagree with me on something, then I have to walk back to what I said and say that Cinder actually wants it this way, for example. Very often Cinder was on the same page as me beforehand or would agree with what I said without her knowledge using we afterwards. In the case of exclusivity deal with Nano, I used we when talking about Bao, so it seemed like Cinder also backed how I felt. This was really a dick move. Like, this is not really... Buddy. I really have nothing else to say about this. Cinder not only wasn't aware of this, but I knew she didn't agree with me about what I was saying. In our conversation, Nano said herself that she was not really down with working with people who Cinder didn't want her to, so I made sure to tell Nano how we felt, expressing my own feelings to her as if they were both of ours. This was all be shown in Nano's sections. And this is why a lot of people were misinformed about this, so to say. And honestly I cannot blame Nano if it's actually using those types of screenshots whenever she actually mentioning both Red and Cinder as we, even though it's actually only supposed to be Red. There are 3 things in my apology I need to correct that will be shown in full detail in this document. Missing information, lies, and incorrect statements in my apology. I left out a lot of information regarding my experience with Silverware and trying to overly apologize to her. It ended up making things sound much worse than what really happened. To be fair, now that I actually seen that, I already knew she actually was acknowledged truthfully of what she said was Silva. But that's, well, I lied about not knowing that Red spoke to Nana about Spite in 2023 to not make things worse for myself by revealing more than Nana or Spite did about what happened regarding her. I was wrong about which year the situation with Nyan Tales took place in. I wrote that it was after my debut, but it was actually an entire year earlier. Yeesh. My apology and accusation made against me did not cover everything I read and I have done wrong. I've laid out everything below that will be presented throughout this document so we can address them and take responsibility. Explaining the motives and reasoning behind our actions are not meant to justify or diminishing them or the feelings of those affected, but do understand why they happened. We both became neglectful of many friendships and personal relationships online and IRL. Brad and I became consumed by our own work and prioritized my career over all else. Oh man, this is why a lot of people actually, her friends or former friends, I mean, were sounded a lot of offended, especially when I think about someone like Bao, Cotton, even Tricky, Vienna, and Yusu. Red considered everyone, including our friends, competition to some degree, and I agreed. Ah, fuck. That never should be like this way, man. It should never be. Oh man. Well, Red and I left Tricky at our hotel in Tokyo one day during our Japan trip in October 2024. I chose to distance myself from Cotton after what happened between her and a friend. That's what. Yeah. I tried to going back on my agreement with the artist Nixo in April 2025. Red asked Nano not to work with Spite in January 2023 and told me about afterwards. I lied about not knowing he spoke to her about Spite in my apology to avoid talking about it. Red initially dissuaded Nano from accepting a model from Gearing in November 2023. I guilt tripped Nano in November 2023 and February 2025, which still sided with her. Oh fuck, it actually feels almost like she was trying to manipulating her, but not really. But well, like I said, each choices, no matter what good or bad they are, they always come with consequences. Red assured Nana about her considering and cancelling Bao's model in August 2024, so it was true. I knew Bao's model was cancelled in August 2024 and didn't try to do anything about it. Yikes. Red and I agreed to talk with Nana about exclusivity, including not to work with Silver Veil specifically on any more models in January 2025. Red and Nano agreed to deal for her not to work with Silver Bell or Cotton in January 2025, only telling me about Silver Base inclusions. Oh boy. Red spoke to Nana about Shailin in April 2025 after seeing Nana work on a model for her and never told me about this conversation. We asked our video editor about exclusivity after Bell started working with them in September 2023. Red convinced himself Bell Kate keep her video editor to heard of future music video projects in December 2024. Then held a grudge and listed equivalents against her. Oh fuck. I didn't speak to Bao to clear things up about what I knew Red held against her, and it led me to being an awful friend to her for months at the start of 2025. Yeah, I can see as of why I actually I already knew that more or less, and I cannot blame Bao for that, which is why I have also a pity for her. Both Red and I mismanagement the planning and communication with Numi about her concert at the start of February 2025. I pulled off performing in her show and almost didn't go after choosing business over my friend. We both grew to dislike Silverware over the past few years for various reasons, including harassment and comparisons, my own insecurities, and how Silverware acted towards me. Red asked an artist not to work with Superway on March 2025 and never told me about it. Yeesh. Red and I assumed despite it was coming me in 2022 and early 2023. I overreacted to Nyan Tails Hellhound OC design in 2021. Every claim of wrongdoing that was made Red and I that isn't listed above is not true. Whether it was an assumption or a lie in someone's document statement about me or verbally on stream, I won't list the false accusation here, but there has been such a ridiculous amount at this point that I don't even know where to start. I will let this document speak for itself. Oh man. These actions were not over years like Poppy was told. The majority of these actions happened in an 8-month span from August 2024 to April 2025. How each person was affected, if they were affected at all, is explained throughout this document. Nothing was black and white. None of these actions were motivated by jealousy, envy, greed, or being malicious for the sake of it. My friends. Been falsely claimed that I was using manipulating, sabotaging, betraying, and backstabbing all my friends for years in an effort to deplatform them and ruin their careers. There was never some kind of year-long grand conspiracy of deceit against anyone, and I have never pushed the ladder down behind me. I have never been jealous or envious of any of my friends or anyone else. My friends were not stepping stones I used to further myself. I love my friends. Our experiences together were real. Our memories together are real. It hurts that I even need to say that they're here. They say here. There are plenty of things my friends know I've done for them, helped them with, or included them in for no other reason than that they were my friends. I've always answered the question and offered them advice when they ask, done my best to be here and support them at their debuts. With their own endeavors, I've personally bought so much of their merch for myself without ever saying so. I literally brought brownies for my mom, made across the country to share with them. I spent my own time making one-of-the-kind cosplay pieces of their VTubers for them for no other reason than they were my friends. Nice! More than that, 3 finished pieces below were planned for more of my friends, including Bao, before I put all of my crafting focus into my nihilistic cosplay. It meant a lot of me that I could make things that meant a lot to them. Oh man. I don't know what they think I did against them other than what I listed above. Where these ideas came from, or what rumors they were hearing about me, or how my friends collectively agreed this must have been case. After everything we've done and shared it with each other, I absolutely could have been a much better friend and never become a better friend. I'm talking this from my own experiences. But I just can't believe every single one of them thought this was little of me at moment's notice. There were about 1,000 of my friends involved before Nano's document was posted, and still not one of them said anything to me before they were posted publicly. A lot of my friendship did suffer due where my priorities have been, especially over the course of 2024. Because of my focus being overwhelming on work, less and less on my personal relationship outside of it, I neglected people I care about, so did Red. Oof. Both online and IRL, even my closest friend, unless it was about work. I didn't put as much energy into just talking and hanging around, but that's not to say I never did, never wanted to, or disliked them for any reason. Sacrifices must be made for greater good, even though it's actually hurtful as hell. I had my things going on, and I know they had theirs. When I wasn't streaming or working on something, I'd be isolating or hanging around with Red to decompress, and I didn't have the energy to socialize. I tried to plan collabs with friends as often as I could, and it was the way to hang out while still appeasing my content brain. My collabs with my friends were made into YouTube videos, but to say that I was using them for that, and as if countless other videos don't do the same thing, is crazy. This is actually the most stupidest thing I've actually ever heard, and I cannot agree further than this. When I was traveling to see my friends, all I wanted to do was hang out and spend as much time together as I could, and it was the happiest I was. Red and I always loved, valued, look out for, and appreciated our friends, even if we didn't show it as often as we should have. I'm sorry to those of my friends who haven't given the time they gave them to me. I'm sorry for those I haven't spoken in a long time for no other reason than my own negligence. And I'm sorry to my friends that I only focused on I'm sorry to my friends that I only focused on work with and didn't spend enough time being your friends outside of it. The business mindset. Oh dear God. Red and I slowly became more closed off and neglectful of people over the past couple of years, but especially throughout 2024, focusing more and more of our time and energy to this career. Work became almost 24/7 for us. Oh God. Never taking a break was our job, our hobby, and almost all we talked about. We loved what we did, but we both became consumed by the content grind. I mean, you need to stay relevant if you actually want to have a good income. And this is actually always a fucking nightmare, especially with Twitch and YouTube. Fortunately, not on Kick. Our work-life balance became non-existent. We were going and going and going all day, every day as a two-person team, working to an obsessive degree. We were always trying to do more with more people all the time. Everything became about doing bigger things, achieving more, accomplish more, growing bigger, launching more cool things, having more opportunities, while keeping up with at least 4 to 5 streams a week. In other words, they became workaholic. Our problem wasn't greed, like it was claimed, it was ambition. Ambition that was wearing us too thin to keep up with everything. But it was never enough to take a step back and relax. We were always looking ahead, always had to be progressing, and never stopped to appreciate where we were or the people around us. The money was nice, but it's never been the driving factor for anything we did. It was an indicator of a successful project, event, or merch drop to anyone understood. The majority of what I've made and spent went back into my work or towards the house my dad has been building. I've released a lot of merch, and it's something Red and I have both been passionate about. Coming up with and releasing cool new merch is one of the most fun and fulfilling things to work, and being on new products like a drink flair or a trading card game was super exciting to us. It was always about launching cool things for my community. Over the money I'd made, I've turned down merchandise opportunities and many more sponsorship opportunities than I ever accepted, only taking on those I really wanted or had a strong interest in. Even though a lot of them were paying very well, being a greedy, money-hungry person has been falsely projected onto me. Oh dear. It's never been all about the money for either of us. It's about sending a message. One instance I may be called out for regarding this was during my Heaven Hound model debut. During my lore read, I had an intermission when my chat needed to fill a gold bar on screen with bits to progress on the video. It was the easiest way for me to implement interactivity in the debut, and my chat having direct involvement by cheering me on was important to the story being shown. The motivation wasn't to have people giving me money for the sake of it, but it actually looks like it, honestly. This mindset got myself and my career to where it was, but it took... Hold on. arcade stick is all about to fall. Hold on. Okay. Where was I? This mindset got myself and my career to where it was, but it looks overall lies to an unhealthy degree, leading to deterioration to our health, relationship with people. Being cancelled away from work gave us the time to address this problem in our personal lives. For example, I have my own dog now who's been keeping me busy. Oh, that's sweet. I've gotten back into cosplay after not working to my nihilist build for months. That's also good. I've been trying to lead a healthier lifestyle and I've been going to gym regularly. That's also good. Despite finding it difficult to be motivated about things since April, I've been making changes so I don't fall back into the same unhealthy work mindset I was in. The more the better. In my apology, I said competition. In my apology, I said I'm disgusted with myself for buying into the narratives that my friends were competition. I just learned all about this myself, and there could have been so many other friends affected by the narratives that things always had to be competitive. Those types of mindset is not always a great idea, honestly. Right? Always consider everyone our competition, including my friends. That is not a good thing, by the way. I understood and agreed with his reasoning below. It didn't change anything between my friends and I didn't treat them any differently because of it. The only person I became directly competitive against was Silver Whale, and that wasn't right of me. And you should have done that, honestly. The content creation sphere is massive, and the video sphere is a fraction of what it is with its own audience. Everyone is always always doing something, launching something, playing something, and it is a constant rate of relevancy. God. Whatever you want to look at it the way or not, it's the nature of the industry. Part of the reason why we were always working on new things, releasing bigger things at a faster and faster rate was to stay competitive in the space. In a general sense, everyone was competition. Friends, other videos, and other content creators. Why is my mouth full with saliva? I swear to God, I need to drink a lot. I also need to get the pee, but only in about a sec. But at the same time that anyone and everyone could be considered competition, there were also collaborators, co-workers, and partners. The end goal was about staying relevant and in people's minds and making sure our projects could succeed alongside anything going on any given time, while also topping on our things we've done in the past. I mean, yes, but at the same time, it's actually not always a good idea to be trying to be the number one. I mean, having those type of mindsets being on the number one spot, it's not always a healthy thing to do. At no point was this view ever motivation or an excuse to hurt, take advantage of, or put down creators around us, especially friends. This is a business. This is a job, but keeping the business aspect of things in mind didn't affect the way I saw our friendship with people or the way I treated them. They were my friends too, and we both cared about them, supported them, and helped them out when they needed it. I've always had the backs of the people closest to us. The only people I've ever considered as direct competition in the negative senses were people we had something against, or they did something against us. We're working with artists important to us. By April 2025, this was only Silver Whale from how she acted towards Cinder for years. Bao, after what I thought she did to us and our other friends in December 2024, but only sometime after my deal with Nano in January 2025, and potentially soon to be Lily, by the way she was treating Cinder, and coincidentally getting a model from Nanoless at the same time. It was wrong of me to feel this way, especially towards Bao, and I'm sorry. I'm actually starting to wonder what Bao actually feel about this. Oh, this is about other Sinders friends, but first, let me just take a little break first because I need to go to pee. I'll be right back. Oh, well, yes, and this one. And mute. Mute, 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 mute. let's continue, shall we? Oh, hold on. Yes, here I want to address the people I read and I heard that don't have a larger section in this document. 3 KV. My friends, Red, and I traveled to Japan last year. About a week into our trip around the country, we arrived in Tokyo for the last few days there. Red, Tricky, and I were talking about going to the Katsura store in the night. We arrived, but the other plans left us with no time to go. The next morning, Red and I were up super early and were ready to leave the hotel around 8 or 9 a.m. We waited in our hotel room for about an hour without hearing from Tricky at all. Because we only had a few days left in Japan, Red and I wanted to make the most of our remaining time. We were around friends all week and didn't have much, if any, time alone together in Japan either. The other half dozen of us either had their own plans or were still sleeping too. There were other friends staying in the same hotel as Red, Tricky, and I. So towards the end of the day, when everyone reconvened somewhere, Red and I are sorry to Tricky for leaving her behind and hurting her. We've always been there for her, especially when we traveled together. We didn't think she'd be left completely alone with how many of us were together in Tokyo. But we still should have waited for her instead of going off and on our own. She was one of her best friends and we're both so sorry. Cottontail VA. I'm so sorry to Cotton for the way I've avoided her and turned town down collapse together for a situation that had nothing to do with me. I thought I was being a good friend to someone I was close with, but it was unfair to her treat her that way. I did not agree with how Red included her name in his deal with Nano, and wouldn't have let him if I knew about it, regardless of how I felt about her at the time. It was wrong of me as Nano not to work with Cotton. It was a spur of the moment thing after hearing about the situation she was involved in. I took upon myself to do what I thought was right by another friend. Cotton always have been nice to me personally, and she didn't deserve that. I'm sorry. Nixu? I don't know. Nixu deleted her tweet with her talking about me. She shouldn't have, because she was right. I was going to include her for reference, but I've left out because of what she wrote in it. So instead, I've summarized the situation below. Second, I don't want any kind of popular reaction to this. I really do not want to appear on videos or similar. Don't want my case being used as an excuse to put more hate into it. I just want to share and let it out my chest. I probably deleted it in the end. Nixor or Iwana AF is an artist that reached out to me via email about making artwork in exchange for showing it off and giving it a shout at her Patreon on stream. I hadn't seen the email, but she made a tweet laying out her terms, tagging me in it. I messaged her that I was interested. I put her in contact with Red and handled things from there. Through Red, we made our agreement. It wasn't until she had a large portion of the sketch finished when I had changed my mind about our agreement. I didn't want to do it anymore. I don't know what's going on through my head or what my reason was for this, but I told Red to call it off. Red tried to make it seem like there was miscommunication somewhere to save face for me, but it was really because I was unprofessional. He talked to me and I agreed to follow through with the arts showcase and shout outs on my stream. However, I failed to follow Nix's terms and they were agreed upon. I didn't verbally shout out her Patreon and only showed the link to it that was on her artwork. I also didn't show the censored NSW's version of the art, but that was because I was worried about getting in trouble with Twitch. This was unprecedented situation I caused with an artist. I never done something like this with anyone else. I handled an agreement and made extremely and regrettably unprofessionally. This was a way out of character of me, and I'm sorry to Nikshu for I from for how I handled things and for the stress I caused her. I encourage anyone regarding reading this, please support her in her incredible work. Let me just take a closer look about this. Hmm. Oh, she's done actually some beautiful artworks. That's nice of her. You know what? Why not? And that's her. That's the inclusion for my apologies. Now to Nano. Oh baby, this is going to be a long while. Oh man, this actually really hurts, honestly. And to be fair, I really don't want to actually talking about this because I already know what's going on with Red. Oh man. Oh man. You know what? I will actually stop here for now, so I can actually. I might actually take a close look in private, but to be fair, what was going on in this in general was actually a really bad move from Nano and everyone who accused Cinder as well as Red. But oh man, they fucked up. That's for sure. But I'm just hoping that actually they also learned the lessons from for what they've done. To be fair, oh man, that's that's actually horrible, completely fucking horrible, to say it the least. And the fact, oh man, all of this could have been avoided if it's actually only made in private. But honestly, if I'm actually going to be honest, this this whole drama towards Cinder is actually stupid, to say it least, because I've already knew about this ever since the beginning when I actually took a closer look to the documents by myself. The only reason as of why I didn't actually talk this in the public because number one, I I I didn't want to be involved into this, and I shouldn't I didn't want to say about this because some people actually wouldn't believe me about this, about all of this, and about what else I'm trying to say, and then and some people think they going to see me as a simp, which is fucking which is not true. I do I do like watching her streams because she's actually very funny and very funny, entertaining, kind, and such. But I how should I say it in my own words? It's not that everyone are perfect on their own way. I mean, shit. I also done a lot of things that I still regretted until this very day. What these things are, I will not going to tell for now. But there will be on one day I have to take all my courage and actually going to say about this. when will this happen? I'm not sure, but I'm just hoping they actually can figure out themselves on how to do this. But let's we just have to wait and see what is going to happen for like the next couple of weeks. What the others are actually going to say about it, because I'm actually kind of curious of what Shia Lily, Nano, as well as Bao. Unfortunately, yes, Bao has to be included because even though she was manipulated by Shai Lily after she came back from the surgery back in April, or and that she had. There is an assumption I wanted to make that she was forced to lie to the audience so that she is actually so because I think I mean my assumption is Mao was forced from Shy Lily to actually lie on her document as well as on the stream the day after Cinder made her apology document back in April. So because I think there was probably a very hard decision to make, and I think, I'm not sure, but I think there was there wasn't actually a time where she has to decide what to do, and she had to go with this because otherwise she could be the next target from Shy Lily, and that is something that needs to be addressed. I can't be sure. That's for sure. I can be sure, but this is the one. But this is the closest assumption what I've made. That I'm I'm just hoping that everyone who was involved in this can actually reflect of what happened, and hopefully in the future, which is really unlikely, that there's going to be any kind of there won't be any kind of miscommunication to one another, because otherwise it wouldn't look too good on Chai Lily's behalf, but also to Cinder's behalf, because both of them made a mistake, and that is something that needs to be addressed. Both of them actually, I mean, to be fair, Cinder kind of already got what she deserved, but that's not the way it should be actually ended, especially of what happened in April. I'm just hoping that like I said, Shy Lily, Nano, as well as Val actually going to come up with a with an actual response where they do not lie, and that actually trying to keep honest as possible. Because okay, it sounds actually very very rude, but because what I have discovered while I was reading all of this, not the current document from Cinder right now, but the previous ones. This is where I actually started. I mean, I actually already lost respect for Nano and for Shy Lily, as well as of Spite, because of for what they've done towards her. But also, I actually can. But I also have to blame on Cinder for what she did back then, and this is something that is very hard to say. I just hoping that one day they can actually cooperate with each other, even though they despise each other. Like I said, this is really rough. This is actually really fucking rough. Oh man. But just have to wait and see. I'm going to make sure to actually read the rest of it all by myself, and hopefully I can actually make a complete opinion about this before I actually. Well, I have to read all of this again. I cannot be sure what is actually my overall opinion about this whole situation, because I mean there already is, but because of what Cinder actually wrote, there might be some changes. I'm not I'm not sure, but they might be. But for that, I have to finish to reading all the document by myself before I actually make an opinion. And for that, I think this is a good it's a good way if I actually only doing this for my own self before I actually making an opinion, like I said. So for that, I'm going to stop now, and hopefully I will see you guys on the other side.